Hello, one and all. Welcome to round five. I believe it's round five anyway. Oh, of the PS4 A1 Championship here on Apex Online Racing. I'm doing this stream on quite short notice, so apologies if there's any problems. But yeah, the guys racing in this division, they're absolute heroes. So I've got to try and provide something for them to watch back on. So that this is me kind of paying them back. Got dry qualifying, which is always good to see. As the session starts, got a grid of 19 drivers here today, so a pretty damn stacked grid. And yeah, so we'll see how these guys get underway as we're just waiting for some of the cars to come out. I'm just linking this to linking the stream to people in the PSN chat so we can get things started. Apologies for the screen. I had to keep this random overlay on. I don't know how to get rid of it. I'm absolutely terrible at streaming. So yeah, apologies for that. As we're just gonna see who's gonna be some of the first cars out. Looks like Jacobs has come out. I saw Fuzel going round, and the McLaren, who has had a half decent start to this season. So that's alright for him. He's gonna set off on his way now. Yeah, going into Brooklyn's, just waiting for these guys to get round and get started on their laps. So for the strategy here at Silverstone, we should be looking at a by the looks of things, could be a dry race, seeing as this qualifying the weather's absolutely beautiful, which is not what you hear often at Silverstone, but nonetheless. But if it is a dry race, strategy should be an easy one-stop. Tire degradation at this track is very low, so a lot of guys you should see them qualifying on the soft compound, which is the softest tire that we have available to us this afternoon. If they do go for lap hole times, you can expect to see in the low 26s, potentially in the high 25s if someone gets in a really good lap. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see, as we've got a couple of cars building up to their laps. We're going to look, I believe Larkin is just starting a lap there, the reigning champion. He's on the medium compounded tyres, interestingly, but we'll look at the Mercedes into turn 1. Easy flat should be in these cars, generating so much downforce in this day and age, breaking down into village, clipping the apex quite nicely as a Mercedes with that pink helmet, which really stands out over the silver arrow, as now exiting on to the Wellington straight. A short blast with DRS. It's going to shift it up into 8th gear as now he breaks down for Brooklands, trying to take a late apex, clip that curb nicely. And now into Luffield long corner. It really tests the driver's patience as they get up on to the throttle, and he shifts up through the gears again, moving down towards Copse corner. Very difficult, just a little left from the Mercedes, keeps it in 7th gear. It is possible to take that flat out, but probably not on those medium compound. Now down through a fantastic Maggots and Beckett section. Chapel, such an important corner. Got to nail the exit, pretty conservative exit from the Mercedes, and he does indeed back off that. Maybe didn't validate at Copse, I believe. Fuzel going round the final couple of corners in the club section. Got to try and get a nice clean exit. He's on the soft tyres. We'll see how he does as a banker, who does a 26.9. Not a bad lap to start off with the McLaren. He's got a decent base there that he can work on through the latter part of this session. I'm going to watch Sepi. He's also backed off as Yoss pumps in an impressive lap at 26.5 to kick off this session and lay down a bit of a marker. Energetics a little bit slower, but on those medium tyres, so expect him to improve. I have no doubt in my mind about that. He's a very fast driver himself, so I just get up the tyres that these guys are all using. Skivan going round on those blue walled hard tyres, as he's really struggling to get the car around turn 1 flat. Going to look for RC7 now as he heads it round, as Sam does an absolute stonker of a lap, a 26.2. That is quite... Well, that is very, very impressive. Such an early stage in the session. I wouldn't expect these guys to be getting too deep into the 25s. So yeah, very impressive from him. Beck, not a bad lap from him either. Does a 26.6 and puts himself in contention early on. We've only got 7 cars to set lap times so far, so usually wouldn't look too deep into those. We could see some improvements later on. You see then Artis must have done something on that lap, maybe not running flat out because he's on the 33.2. That's not representative. I know he's quicker than that. So just looking around here, he's got a couple more times and just over half the grid to set time. I'm looking for Caesar, a debutant I believe, or he might have been racing in Austria last time out. I'm not quite sure, as he breaks down into the Vale, and he's very conservative actually. I believe he's got quite high ERS, so I expect he's setting himself up for another lap. Skivan on the hard tyres. Very interesting to see what kind of pace he puts down, and that is, well, it's not exactly earth-shattering, but you wouldn't expect it on the hards. They are pretty slow around here, but their tyre deck is almost non-existent. They just last for so long. In the race, you can essentially go the whole race on them. But Jaco, who I'm seeing old school 3000, just giving him some support in the chat. Good to see. He's put in a very, very impressive banker, a 26.9 on mediums, 2 lap old mediums at that. So he looks like he could be one of the contenders later on in this session. Good showing from him. We've got 5 cars that haven't set time yet. One of them is Matty Shaw, who's running in the hot lap ERS mode, to expect potentially him to put down a time. He does a 29.1 but invalid, but he's still in hot lap, so he's going to hammer that car around the track, give it all he's got. So everybody else sees just come out the pits, give Mahalik through his out lap. Those are the cars that haven't set times as of yet. So it looks like we're in a bit of downtime in this session. So I guess I'm going to try and get the championship standings up and kind of run you guys through them. I know Jaco is the championship leader despite missing the last race, so he's done a very impressive job. He's been on the podium in every race that he's been in, so just really consistently being at the front, and he looks like he's showing that kind of pace again, being 5th ahead of quite a few soft runners on the medium tyres. That is, that's blinding, and you could be seeing him challenging the likes of Samuel, who is another guy that does seem to be pretty quick. But I'm going to run through. Jaco leads it on 58 points, just under halfway through the season. So he's put down an early marker and is leading the way. Another guy, well, there's some guy in second. Third is Skivan, who initially started as a reserve. He's been given a full time drive at Renault, and he is sitting on 47 points, 11 points off the lead. He won last time out in Austria, so he's the man with the form. He's the man with the momentum going into this race. Energetic, so I'm going to follow him round. He is considered one of the quicker drivers in the league. He's currently 7th in the table. He's been quite inconsistent. 4th, 12th, 2nd, 13th have been his results so far. So he's a guy that clearly has the pace. He just needs to deliver it week in, week out, and not get caught up in incidents. He had quite an incident-packed race last time out in Austria, but we're going to keep an eye on the Ferrari as he exits the Valley section onto the Wellington Straight. The Red Bull does get out of the way quite nicely, so he's not going to be any interruptions for the Ferrari. More cars getting out of the way. Now, Gameholic has gone second on 26.4. Good job from him. So Sauber's really looking strong early on, just about halfway through this session. So the 2 Saubers up front for the moment, but I'm sure that the rest of these guys will want to challenge him. Jekyll has just gone out on a set of softs. Expect him to be setting the timing screens alight in a couple of minutes, I'm sure. But right now we're looking at Energetics. He's the man of the moment, going through Marriott's and Beckett's. Tried to keep the car and just try and carry as much speed through on the exit. Gets really aggressive, clips the grass. It always feels so satisfying when you nail the exit of that complex now into the last section of the lap, into Stowe. Uses a lot of the curb on the entry, really aggressive. You've got to keep the throttle pinned. He does run a little bit wide. Hopefully he hasn't invalidated his time. He's going to continue though, going through the final few corners, keeps it in third gear for stability, hard on the throttle up to the line. Energetics goes just behind Samuel, about 200ths of a second shy of the time that was set by the Sauber, who himself is also on a lap, and he seems to be coming towards the end of it. So is he going to improve on his time? Is he going to set down a marker to say to the rest of the field, beat that? Here he goes up to the line. He does improve. He's a 26 dead. He looks on fire at this stage. Certainly he was the champion of A2 last season. Currently sits 4th in the championship, just being after a brilliant second place result last time out in Austria. And he clearly is showing himself that he can compete with the top guys in this league. He's been, just before that second place, he was just going about his business and getting good results. In Australia, I do remember a race that I remember quite fondly for. Don't know why, but he actually managed to. He was fighting for the podium, but had last lap incident, ended up finishing 6th. But he's just been in and about, and I do believe he has the pace to fight with the top guys. Also, Adri, another man that's moved up from A2, he's looking pretty tidy there. 4th place, just behind Gameaholic, who's a veteran of this league. And the Spaniard really showing as well that he can compete with these. He's ahead of the reigning champion Larkin, who's just put in a 26.4 as well. The field, as expected, really close. Skivan is disconnected, I believe. Hopefully he can get back in. As he at the field, look at that, Caesar's done the same time as Jos himself backing off in the middle of his hot lap. So yeah, hopefully we get Skivan back in, but the field is just unbelievably close. The top 13 covered by less than a second, and the guys that are not within a second, I can see them all improving. It's just, I think it does come down to the track. I think a lot of drivers are pretty evenly matched around this race circuit. But just this league in general, all the drivers are on similar pace. As I've just got a message from Skivan. Is everyone disconnected? There's just me. That is just you, Afraid, my friend. Hopefully we can get you in. He is, of course, a championship contender, so it would be a shame to see him go out. Jekyll, I've just seen, is pumped in a 26.4, just level with Gameaholic. Somehow he goes ahead, despite the fact that the Sauber driver set his time first. A little bit odd. Usually the driver that sets the time first is given the nod, but not on that occasion. So Jekyll goes P3. I think I would go as far as saying he has more pace than that, based on his lap on the mediums. Softs are quite a bit quicker, probably by about 6/10. I'm not too sure on that. But I'm just going to watch Barton. He impressed not last time out, but in China. He ended up finishing 7th, but he was fighting for the podium for most of the race. So he's another guy that's moved up from A2, who's not quite had the best time of it so far, but again, he showed signs of pace that can challenge the top guys. So we'll see what he can do as he goes into the last sector of the lap, into Stowe. Doesn't use too much of the curb on the outside, he's just going to try and keep it nice and clean. 6th gear, runs right out onto the curb. Looks like he's still going to continue though into the final complex, keeps it 3rd, tries to grab the traction on exit, then into overtake mode for the run to the line, goes 2nd at 26.2. He again proves he's got the pace. Thankfully Skivan's back in, so we'll see what kind of time he can put together. But Barton going up front and looking impressive. 2 Ferraris tucked in nicely, and both of them veterans of the league. Both of them, I know from experience, extremely fast drivers. They'll be looking at those top times and thinking they can challenge them. But also, you can't rule out that time from Samuel. He was the quickest on the first runs, and he was the quickest in the second runs. He seems to have the pace over the rest of the field. And now, it's up to him to try and eke on his final run. That would really, as Denja Arthas, he's the first casualty in this qualifying session. He's in Sector 1. Try and find a car who is in Sector 1. Don't think we'll know how he's gone off there, but unfortunately that seems to be a bit of a mistake for him. He's, really unfortunate He's gonna have to, well, he'll probably end up outside the top 10, which usually would be quite, well, even though he is inside the top 10, you could expect him to get demoted in the latter part of the session, which at most tracks you probably wouldn't mind. But at Silverstone, it's really not. It's very marginal advantage. It's not really going to change much because it is an easy one stop. You only get a tiny benefit from starting outside the top 10. But one man that's benefiting from just good performance both this season and currently in this qualifying session, Gameaholic. He's done a solid lap time of 26.4. I'd expect there'll be quite a few drivers going quicker than that in the latter part of the session, so he's got to try and up that set, but a bit more of a target as he goes through Cops. Just a slight left on entry to make sure he keeps that car on the track. Now Max Beckett, there's a car up the road, hopefully he gets out the way, he keeps it 7th gear down into 6th. Now exit out of Chapel, got to nail the throttle as early as you can, gets right out onto that grass. That's how you know you committed, and he's going to get a slipstream of energetics up in front, and he's going to be like, thank you very much, and he takes that, pulls out. He's going to have a few extra kilometers an hour as he gets onto the brakes. Another car running wide out of Stowe, but he still seems to be pushing. He's in hot lap mode, so he's still going all out. Now exiting the Vale and on the run up to the line, does he challenge the time of his teammate? He does improve, but not quite enough to make an impression, and not enough to make any positions. He's 0.02 of a second shy of Jeko, who's preparing himself for a lap as the championship leader. But Jos Heinze, my former teammate, we'll see how he gets on. Takes a lot of curb going through Brooklands, and now tries to nail the throttle on the exit of Luffield. Takes a long time to get on the throttle, being a bit more cautious as the Toro Rosso now preparing himself. He's actually turned down his ERS, so it looks like he has backed off of that lap, but I don't think the same can be said of Caesar. Not doing a bad job so far. I know him from another league. He is a pretty fast guy, so I'd expect I'm not really surprised that he's doing a solid job on his debut so far. As you can see, he drops it down into 3rd gear halfway through Lovefield to get the car rotated, but still seems to be stable enough. Now going down towards Cops as the Sauber just gets out of the way nicely, goes to half throttle on the entry, keeps it nicely on track, doesn't run too wide and validate the lap, keeps it in 7th gear, through Baggett, through Beckett, slight left through Beckett's, and now on the brakes, keeps it in 5th gear, runs a little bit wide, but manages to recover it on exit. Now, in overtake mode, shifts up into 8th gear potentially. No, yeah, there he does eventually, revving it out as much as he can in 7th, a little bit wide in the entry of Stowe, keeps it on the track. Now we're coming towards the end of the session, the final lap times are going to be coming in, and the Red Bull driver gets a little bit of a scrappy run through the final few corners. He's on a 26.5 right now. Does he improve? He sets the exact same time. So no improvement, but he's still pushing. We're going to look elsewhere though, as Gameaholic has gone off. Barton has wrapped off the session, but he can be happy with what's gone on so far. Energetic, I'm just looking for some guy that's near the end of his lap. Looks like that's going to be Larkin, reigning champion. He's not had this all his own way so far this season, currently 6th in the championship. He did get podium last time out, runs a bit wide, going through Stowe again, just missing the apex now. Hard on the brakes, currently 7th, he'll want to be higher than that. Exits the final corner, a little bit onto the curb, but he's going to give him the momentum, run up to the line. He does improve, but it's invalid. That time would have put him, I believe, up there with Adri, and maybe even up as high as 4th, because they are so close. Sam has ped, so he's not going to improve. This has opened the door for the likes of Energetics, as apparently 3/10 up on his time, which would put him in the 25s, and more importantly put him on pole position. Jeko unable to top that time of the Sauber, so Energetics as Gameaholic gets out the way. Now hard on the brakes, he's not done with yet as the Ferrari looks to exit the final corner nice and clean, shifts up 6th gear. Does he beat that top time? Yes he does, a 25.9 super lap from the Ferrari. Caesar's backed off. It's just Skivan now on the medium, so he's going for a harder compound just like he did in Austria. Keeps it set 3rd gear, really aggressive on the inside. Does he invalidate? I don't know. Up to the line. Does he do well? He does a 26.6, but invalidated. So that's going to round off your qualifying. Energetics with a last ditch effort to take pole position away from Samuel Soar, who was so dominant for the entire session, and that's got to be heart-wrenching for him, having pole snatched from him at the last. But a really solid effort for him regardless. But it is Energetics on pole position, with his teammate J. Cole lining up just behind him. So that's going to wrap it up. I'm going to need to grab myself a drink. I don't know how I'm going to get through this race. My voice is already going. Solo commentary isn't the easiest, my friends. My apologies. Energetics takes pole position. I told you might be seeing 25s, and it took a 25 to get pole. It took a 25 to beat Sir Samuel, who put in a great effort. He gets second on the grid ahead of J. Cole, who might be a little bit disappointed with that. Probably feels he had the pace to get pole, but he does get a good solid position regardless. Barton, one of the stars of qualifying, really good effort from him, just ahead of Yoss. Gameaholic, I think, will be reasonably happy with sixth ahead of Adri, Larkin, Caesar, and Sevi, rounding out the top 10. And then the people with three tyre choice ahead of Ice Danger Artist, Matt, Bones, Beck, Fuzeo, Matty Shot, Skivan, RC7, and Philip Smith rounds out the grid of 19 drivers. And it is going to be 19 drivers heading into the high speed but tight turn 1. And it is very possible we could be seeing some very dangerous incidents. Obviously, I don't wish that of the drivers. Hope they all get through cleanly, but there is still a decent chance of incidents. But a lot of the drivers here have been given a bit of a slap on the wrists after the last race. The last race in Austria wasn't exactly the cleanest. There were quite a few incidents, so I'm sure that all the people lined up here will be making sure that they don't do anything naughty and are able to just try to avoid all contact. So let's hope that anyway. Hope we don't see cars pitting at the end of the first lap, but it's a big grid and it's a tight turn 1. So yeah, hopefully they get through unscathed. I was just waiting for the drivers now. They're just readying up, making their final changes, adjusting fuel, tyres, and just their general strategy. Maybe make a few setup changes just to prepare themselves best for this race. As we can see here, we've got the cars filtering through. I'm just going to try and check. Here's the tyres. So the vast majority of the grid, even the ones outside the top 10, appear to be going for the soft tyre. That's the tyre I'd go for personally. Pretty easy one stop at this track, but we do have a few exceptions. The highest of the medium starters is Fazale, so the McLaren man. Gonna be, oh, he goes off the track there. I think he had to avoid the force ending of Beck, and actually no, they did actually come together. So of course they're gonna have warm tires, and that's gonna be a real, it's not gonna be great. I couldn't really find my words there, but certainly not gonna be a disadvantage for both those guys, particularly for Zale, because he's gonna want, because those mediums, he's gonna have a lot of trouble activating them early on. Because they're going to be so cold, and they aren't easy tyres to get up to temperature. He can thank his lucky stars he's not on the hards though. The other two medium starters that are still going round, Skivan and RC7. Of course, Skivan was last week's race winner. He's somehow managed to drop back to the back of the pack during this formation lap. But it doesn't matter, he'll get back into his grid position regardless. But yeah, it'll be one to watch though, Skivan, because he won last time out in Austria with an alternate strategy. He's gone for an alternate strategy again, but starting much further down the field. And he's going to have his work cut out. Of course, that disconnection didn't do him any favours. But he's got to try and carve his way through the field without getting caught up. That's a big thing. Don't want to be too aggressive. Obviously, you want to make your way through, but at the same time, getting caught up in incident and all that hard work is set back. Now the big grid and all 19 cars beginning to take formation on the grid here. Front four now settled in. Energetics is going to lead these men away. Samuel Soares thinking, I've got the inside line, maybe if I can just get up alongside I can steal it. But all these cars now preparing for the 5 red lights here for the British Grand Prix. And the lights are out and away they go. Looks like a decent start for Energetics, able to maintain that lead and of soars. And that Samuel tucks in nicely just in front of Jacob. Barton follows him through. Yoss getting pushed a little bit wide. The spinners, I can already see incidents happening in the background. Looks like Skeevan's been caught up. Matt and Dejartis, those three losing out majorly. You see a lot of scrapping immediately going on. That's no surprise. You can see Sauber running wide, a Gameaholic coming out of turn 3. He's got now Larkin tucked up underneath him. Samuel Soar though looking for the lead into Brooklands. Doesn't quite get it done. Now Larkin inside of the Sauber Gameaholic. These two have been swapping places already early on, and Larkin able to get in front in the Mercedes. He's going to start a climb potentially towards the front. Jost didn't get a great start. He's had to fend off that McLaren of Andrew, who himself hasn't had the best of starts. The top 3, he could barely throw a blanket over them. Look at them running nose to tail, going through the high-speed corner of Cops. Still more battles going on. Philip Smith has had a great start up until 11th, moving past Seviasti. And behind them, Beck able to move his way past Puzel, who's now coming under a lot of pressure from the Williams of Matty Shaw. And he did have a good start with Puzel, but those mediums clearly not up to temperature. And look at that, Skivan's going to move for a double overtake. They're 3 wide down the straight. Please keep it clean, as Matt has gone out behind them, but there's still 3 wide. Puzel looks like he's going to have to drop back. Right the outside goes Skivan. Is he going to make another move around Matty Shaw? Looks like the Williams has just been able to stay ahead. Now RC7, these guys battling, not exactly for points at this stage, but they're still going at it. RC7 not quite able to get through on the McLaren. We've got full course yellows as Matt has gone out. Caesar and then Jartis, both these guys getting caught up in little scrapes going through the start of the lap, and that's not helped them in the slightest. Caesar putting on the hard tyres, clearly wanting to take those all the way to the end of the race, but we've got big midfield battling at this stage. Beck runs wide, gives up that position to Sevi, who moves up into the points after not having the greatest of starts in the Red Bull, but he's going to come under attack immediately. The Force India moves inside, going into Brooklands. They're side by side behind as well. Late lunge from Matty Shaw, tries to get past the Force India. Philip Smith still side by side with him. The Tor also looks to the inside and makes his way through nicely, but Sevi's managed to win out in that. Apologies, man. Oh god, my controller's disconnected. Just gonna have to okay, we're back. Alright, we're just gonna have to work with this. I'm holding it up against my charger here, so hopefully this is able to work out. But it's Energetics looks in full control of this race already. Just looking impervious and almost out of the DRS range of already. So he's going to have to try and work his way back in at Samuel Soar. A little bit wide is Energetics. That's not going to help his chances of breaking out the DRS. And it is Samuel that does set the fastest lap of the race indeed. So now it's going to switch up the graphic here. Interval. We'll see what cars are close on the track. And still that battle for 10th rages on. Sevi has leaked over 2 seconds to the cars ahead already. And he's under all sorts of pressure from Philip Smith. The Tor also closes right up on the brakes into turn 3, but not quite close enough into 4. These guys definitely the closest on track at the moment. The other one that got to look out for is Yos. Attacking Gameaholic, looks to the inside going towards Brooklands, but not brave enough on the brakes, so maybe not willing to risk it. Now, Philip Smith, I saw him, he was next to the Red Bull of Sevi, doesn't get through now. Matty Shaw up on the back of both of them, with Skivan chasing as well as Fazale, those medium runners tucked in behind, and they'll be probably not going to go too aggressive. I wouldn't imagine these guys. They're just going to want to stay out of trouble, make sure they can stretch those tyres all the way. As look at this, I'm looking, those top 3 have bunched right it up, and they've got DRS now. Samuel may take the lead here. The Sauber driver is impressing. He's showed pace all the way through qualifying, and he's now showing it now to the inside of Energetics, almost coming together, and Energetics trying to hold it right the outside of Stowe, able to make it work. Now Samuel, is he going to be late on the brakes? He's a little bit squeezed there. It's a terrible camera angle, but he couldn't quite get through. Energetics being feisty, and it's allowing his teammate Jacob, but he looks like wasn't the best exit for the championship leader, and he's going to drop back. Barton tucked in behind. Gameaholics is the fastest lap of the race. He shows pace, even though he was coming under attack from the Yos earlier on. Samuel not close enough. Jacob not close enough, but we're going round onto the Wellington straight, and the overtaking potential into Brooklands. It is a corner where you can get a dive bomb going. Is Samuel going to be that risky this early on? He is closing down the Ferrari, but it doesn't get within range. Behind him, Barton, who impressed so much in qualifying, he's beginning to feel the pressure. Larkin, Gameaholic, those two experienced drivers chasing him down. And of course, he's only been in AOR for just over half a season. Does he have the nerve to fend off those drivers? Gameaholic, though, looks even more threatening though to Larkin, really hassling the reigning champion going through cops, but of course it's not really an overtaking point, doesn't get it done. Now the exits coming off Chapel are going to be so crucial for these guys. It wasn't an amazing exit for Samuel, and Jaco could really do his teammate a favour by trying to close him down, but I don't think he's going to go for a move that risky. Neither is Samuel, he's not close enough. But behind him, Larkin, once again not close enough. Yoss able to fend off, but back behind him, Frizzell moves past Matty Shaw. I believe he was already... No, he didn't. Both of those medium runners have gone past Matty Shaw. Good work from Frizzell. Just trying to be solid and pick his way through, taking the opportunities that he can early on. Energetics pumps in a 30.2. These guys slowly but surely finding pace as they get dialed into the track and the fuel and the conditions. But it does look like we're gonna have a dry race, which is always, well, not always good to see. We like to have a bit of action, bit of rain, but it does show what drivers have really put in the work ahead of this race, and just what can put ahead and just make lap time over the 26 laps of this race. But Jaco continues to pressure, not close enough. These guys are building and building, but the moves aren't quite happening just of yet. They're maybe just trying to size each other up, and the pace of Skivan on those mediums is pretty impressive. He's closed down on that battle for P10, which has been raging on for virtually the entire race between Philip Smith and Sebastian. The Red Bull hasn't quite had the pace of the cars ahead. Maybe he's got minor damage, I'm not sure, but he's not quite making it work for himself right now. As up at the front, doesn't look like we're going to be seeing any moves, but certainly we could be seeing a move for P5 as Gameaholic gets up alongside Larkin on the run down towards Stowe. I don't expect the Mercedes driver to give it up very easy. Gives the Sauber a bit of a squeeze and tries to hold the apex of the corner, and he manages to do so. Philip Smith, he moves up to the inside of Sevi, has looked to have slightly better pace, runs wide coming out of Stowe. I don't think Sevi's going to give this one up, but he's not going to be too risky. Holds back on the brakes just a little bit. But Yoss now, he's closed down this battle for P4, and he's dragged Adri with him. These guys now beginning to form a bit of a train. Behind the Haas. Look at Yoss, so he has managed, after that poor start, he has managed to get the car dialed in quite nicely. But up at the front, DRS open now for Samuel Soares. He could be having a look. We've got Maddie Shaw's out of the race. We'll look to that maybe a bit later. But Samuel, he doesn't seem to have straight line speed. Energetic must be running pretty low wings as he's able to fend off any sort of opportunity for the Sauber, and he does look impressive right now. Further down the field, another potential loss here for Seves. He loses out to the Renault of Skivan, who picks up yet another position. He's moving his way through the field pretty nicely. Of course, Matty Shaw managed to go out. We'll see what happened to him. Potentially watching Danger Artist, or are we not quite going to see this? I imagine as Danger Artist really struggling to get those hards activated. Oh, it's safety car. I didn't even see that. My apologies. Safety car. Beck has got a drive-through penalty. Must have not been under that delta, but I'm terribly sorry. I didn't even see that one. It's not exactly a massive notice there on the top left of the screen. But yeah, so safety car is out early on, and we're seeing pit stops predictably. Energetics in, Samuel in, Jaco in, and that's going to be a stack for the Ferraris, and Jaco is going to lose out here. The championship leader could be in trouble. So all these guys into the pits, but Energetics, he's in trouble. Well, he is going to trouble his teammate rather, and of course we could be seeing a lot of swapping and changing. And Fuzz has got a penalty. I'm not sure how he's managed that. I'd imagine it's probably quite an unfair penalty, because it's can be quite odd going to the pit lane. Samuel, I thought he jumped in, but we're just lucky he is indeed behind. Barton puts on the hards. He's in front of Adri. Jaco, look at the positions that the Ferrari man has lost. He's down lower end of the top 10 now. And those medium guys staying out, apart from Fooz, he's the one that's coming in, and he's put on a set of the hards, aiming to get to the end of the race. There's split strategies here. Got Barton, who interestingly is going to go into the hards now. He's got to work them really hard over the next few laps. If he wants to be competitive on this restart, you know, he's trusting that the stint will come to him at the end of the race, but if he can't keep them in the operating window, he's going to be an absolute sitting duck. And I know he's had such an impressive and a net P3 at this stage, but if he can't get those switched on early, he could be in big trouble, despite his impressive performance so far. So there's a lot. I think Barton will be certainly looking over his shoulder rather than looking at those net top two. But it's interesting to see. Gameaholic maybe has made a terrible move here. He did look quick in qualifying and so far in the race. He was really pressuring Larkin. We saw him have that go on the outside of Stowe, but now he's getting stuck up behind the safety car, and he could fall way down the field after fighting for good points earlier on, which is what he's been doing this season. He's been picking up points, picking up podiums when the opportunities have come to him, and he pulls straight over, going past the safety car. He pits predictably, and he's tried to get a bit of an advantage by skipping the safety car, and he's been disqualified. Oh dear, he tried to take a risk and it just didn't pay off. Gameaholic out of the race. Wow, that is huge. Sevi's picked up a penalty. These guys getting penalties under safety car, pushing a bit too hard on the entry. But yeah, hugely gutting for Gameaholic. He's had a strong start to this season. Is he still here? I'm confused. I definitely got a notification. He does seem to be carrying on quite nicely. Maybe that's just his AI car, but he's not. We'll see how he exits. Looks fine. Okay. I'm not sure what's happened there. I swear I could have sworn it said that he was disqualified. Maybe I'm blind. I don't know. But the Sauber driver, thankfully, does seem to be still in the race, but he has had to incur losses. Now 13th, he's got a couple of hard runners ahead of him, which he'll be fancying his chance of picking off Bones and Fazil pretty quickly. But then moving up the field from that, you're looking at guys that he'll be competing with in terms of raw pace, and we know he's got pace, but he could still be scrapping for just a couple of points here. And another one to watch, we know J. Cole's quick. He was fighting for the lead early on. He managed to gap those cars behind him just a little bit. He is going to be one to watch. He's got Joss, Larkin, Barton ahead of him. He'll be wanting to pick those guys off, I imagine, if he wants any chance of winning this race. He's taken a big L, but he still sits in a net P6. It's not awful for the championship leader. His main rival, Skivan, currently leads the race, but on older tyres, and that's going to create an interesting dynamic as well. Skivan, RC7, those guys will not be pitting anytime soon, I'd imagine. Brazil has taken that gamble, pitting in. He's the only one of the medium runners to pit, but the other two just going to look to be out in front. The safety car's in this lap. That's a very late announcement. Skivan is going to be backing these guys up pretty quickly. Now he goes. So away they go there. Pretty abrupt as a start to this race. But they are off now, and immediately Gameaholic has gained several positions. I'm not sure how this has happened. There's cars all over the place. Into the pits I saw one go, and that was Sevi. I'm not sure how Gameaholic gained so many places. Maybe the yellow flags came out later for him. Or earlier, rather, but I'm not sure. But now, Energetics immediately on the attack down the inside of RC7, who's been in the way of cars on different strategies quite a lot this season, as he gets a little bit oversteer, and the Ferrari swoops around with superior traction. Now, the rest of them have got to try and follow through. RC7's going to still have a good toe from Energetics, and he's going to look for it down the inside. Even though he's in a different strategy, it doesn't mean he's going to give this one up easily, but he gets in too deep, loses out on the switchback, and loses out to Samuel as well. Now he's got Larkin hassling him, and as expected, Barton, he's just struggled to get those hards switched on, and Jekyll, after probably quite an angry man after the pit stop debacle, he's looking for a bold move round the outside of Yoss. No way he's going to make it round the outside there. But the Toro Rosso doesn't get the quickest run out the corner. Is Jaco going to try something ambitious? And Debagas and Beckus, please back out. He does. thank the lords, because that could have been messy. Up at the front, Energetics, predictably, I can't get my words out, solo commentary's tough, guys. He's predictably chasing down the Rhino. Can't quite get there. Now Joss moves inside. Oh, Barton really slow as expected. Jekyll forces his way through past Yoss, and now Yoss is going to try and come back at him. Jekyll's stuck, trapped on the outside. They're going to go 3 wide almost. Jekyll tries to swoop round. Super move from the Ferrari. Barton has had to concede those positions. Still manages to stay ahead of Yoss. Yoss gets shoved off the track, and again he has to run wide because Adri's next to him. Adri himself under pressure from Bill Smith, and these guys all bandling away and just squabbling for the lower points paying possessions. Great to see Adri with a late lunge on Yoss. Thankfully he's just able to get the car stopped. And Yoss though, he's shown to be a bit nervous in wheel-to-wheel combat, makes contact with the McLaren, gets oversteer. He's really struggling for grip as the Toro Rosso, and Adri gets the better run going onto the Wellington straight. He's ahead, and now switching to the front, Energetics tries to chase down on Skivan. Down below, Gameaholic has lost a couple of places. He's now next to Fuzel. Now he's on the inside of Caesar, tries to pull out and squeeze the Sauber. There's a penalty for Skivan, the race leader. I believe the first one of the race, or one of the first. It's been quite a clean race so far. Jaco, he's going to be the next man to challenge RC7, who still overcooked his braking point. He's lost out to Larkin since then, and he's already leaked 3 seconds to the Mercedes, losing time hand over fist. Jekyll, he's not going to have DRS, but he is going to have a fighting chance on the Force India. Energetics is getting a bit closer to Skivan up ahead. Jekyll swoops around the outside. Into still lovely move. He's got a lot of ground to make up though on those race leaders, but he is up into a net P4. It has been a strong start from him. Adri is also looking bold move down the inside, and is he going to be able to make it stick? We're not getting a great view of this. There we are from Yoss. He looks ahead. Adri switches to the inside of the Haas, who's just so much slower. He picks up a penalty for going off at that final corner. He's lost out again to Joss. It's not going well for him. He could lose out even more. Down the inside goes Phil Smith. He wants a bit of the action, and tucking in behind him is Caesar as well. He goes for a little look at the Haas, can't quite do it. Now Gameaholic stuck to behind them. We have midfield action as ever. Oh, absolutely incredible. Now wheel to wheel down the straight, Caesar and Philip Smith, and down the inside goes Gameaholic as well. The 3 wide going into Brooklyn's. Gameaholic gets the move done. Well done to him, but they're still battling away as Philip Smith pushes Caesar a little bit wide, and is going to try and take advantage of that. Gets his nose ahead on the exit of Luffield, and the Red Bull surely is going to have to concede. Switches to the inside, but there's no way through there. Fuzel's just watching this with his popcorn out and hoping for a collision, I bet. But Skivan's doing well up front. He has picked up a penalty, but Energetics, I'm sure the Energetics, he used to be a little bit hot-headed in rushing his move, but recently the Energetics I've seen, he likes to take his time with his moves and pick them wisely, and that's what's helped him to just pick up wins at the end of last season, and in my eyes a potential championship contender if he gets his races together. He's a lot more methodical with his moves now, and he's going to search until for basically the perfect moment. He sets the fastest lap of the race. We know he's got the pace, but it's a 3-horse race up at the front, and he does run a bit wide through turn 2. Samuel, who's just been sitting on the rear wing of the Ferrari, not able to get an opportunity, and Samuel might want to throw one up the inside at some point. I know he is a clean driver, and that's helped him to win championships, but that was an A2. In A1, the drivers are a bit more aggressive, and they don't give an inch. And I think, oh, Caesar's out. Caesar has gone off. Not sure what's happened to him. Bones is a bit too far back. We risk missing out on some action, so we'll cut away from that. But Caesar, another casualty. The Red Bull driver who's really getting stuck in on his debut, unfortunately, out of the race. It's Larkin, though, it does look to be threatening. A quick man, and the reigning champion beginning to... He didn't have the best qualifying. He had an okay start and was fighting for about P5, but now he's fighting for the lead, and he really seems to be in his element now as he puts all sorts of pressure on the Sauber in front of him. Energetics now, DRS is open. Is he going to be able to take his opportunity? Skivan's pace on older tyres has been really impressive, considering RC7 is now about 6 seconds behind him, which is just a testament to his pace. And now Adri's RC7 loses out a couple of places. Adri's managed to come out ahead of Yoss. These two continue to squabble away. Barton's up alongside Gameaholic tries to look down the inside. He's been dropping through the field like a stone, picks up another penalty, and Gameaholic swoops round the outside up into 9th. He's having a decent time of it, and of course he's got his advantage of staying out a bit longer. He's got fresher tyres, just a lap fresher than most of the cars in front of him, but it is an advantage nonetheless. He looks at RC7 ahead. And now, up at the front, Skivan, he's been doing so well to just hold on to this, and now Samuel has a little look, a little sniff up the inside, but no way through past a Ferrari. Energetics maybe not looking at Skivan. I'd expect him to have a bit more pace. Just looking ERS, he's actually not saved it as well as some of the cars around him. So Energetics, I don't think he's backing off here. I just think Skivan's doing such a grand job holding that lead on older tyres. He's not in this fight really, but he could still have a real chance at the end of this race. And there's drivers like Fazil, drivers like Bones, RC7, who have switched up their strategies. Could be seeing them in a bit of trouble. Actually, RC7, who's just picked up a penalty, I've kind of got it wrong. He's on the same strategy as Skivan, but he's not quite switched it on as well as the Renault driver. The top four though still running formation while battling ensues behind. Another move from Gameaholic down the inside into Stowe and gets his way past the Force India. And he wants to move on. Larkin sets fastest lap of the race, continuing to pressure the top three in the race. He should be on for a podium here. Gameaholic sets the fastest lap of the race, about 3/10 quicker than anyone else. He has really got it going, and we'll see if he's able to chase down those cars ahead of him. He's got lap fresher tyres, and of course Adri and Jos have just been going back and forth and back and forth, but great dueling, great squabbling between these two. And I wouldn't say it's over by any stretch of the imagination, but Jos not running too high in ERS modes, and I don't blame him. He can't really afford to. He's not got too much to spare. Adri slightly more, about 50%, so he can defend as much as he wants. Behind them now, Fuz coming under pressure from Denjartis by the looks of things. The Williams is on older tyres. You know, Denjartis, he did put in a solid performance in A2 last season. Fuz gets onto the grass on the entry for Cops, and then picks up a penalty, and those two almost running side by side into Maggots and Beckett's. Thankfully they don't. It's now Energetics beginning to close. Those older tyres on the Renault beginning to tell. He's getting a bit of a slide on going through snow, and look at that, they're all beginning to bunch up. Samuel he's looked potentially to be the quicker of those top two net, but just not been able to pull a move. Energetics with a DRS off of Skivan is really assisting him and standing him well. And then the battle between Denjartis, he's moved his way past Fuzz, and the McLaren on those hards, maybe not quite got them switched on. Maybe he runs wide through the final corner. I don't think they're maybe at the right temperature. They are. It is pretty difficult. Caesar does leave the session after crashing out, but Energetics closing. Again, not being punchy on those brakes. He does have fresher tyres, so you'd expect him to be a little bit better on the brakes, but clearly just wanting to take his time. And I would, if I were in his position, I don't think I'd be doing much different. You know, he's in the net race lead. He's got a championship to fight for. He's not right there at the moment, so he'll want to be picking up all the points that he can get. But look at the pace now. He's got to take any opportunity that Skivan hands him. Skivan has been very clean up at the front, not been making mistakes, but he throws one onto the grass there. And now Energetics is gonna have a chance here, and I think the Ferrari man is gonna go for it. Skivan knows it as well. He goes to the inside. Energetics round the outside into Stowe late on the brakes. So Skivan, and he's got the racing line into the corner. Energetics can't really do much, but he's beginning to swap around behind the Renault. He clearly wants that position, but doesn't quite get it. Jos continuing to pressure Adri. Adri holds on to that. Jaco running around in P5. He's very, very slowly chasing down those cars ahead of him, but there's not too much of a pace difference between them. If Energetics get past Skivan, it would do him the world of good. because they're going to give him a buffer to his main rival Sam, and he seems to have really got the car activated here. He's looking to chase him down. DRS is open, and here comes the Ferrari man, and Skivan switches lines a little bit there. It's Energetic's going to do a late lunge. No, hangs back on the brakes. He did think about it. I know he did, but not quite close enough. Once again, he's taking his time here, making sure that he gets a clean move. He doesn't want to take too many risks, and that's really the mentality that I think he has. Just don't take too many risks. Larkin, once in a while, he just flashes up and starts to put pressure on those guys. He's still very much in this fight for the lead, and if Sam makes a mistake, it could allow him right through. Energetics now still putting the pressure on Skivan, but that dirty air really does affect him through that complex, and he didn't get a great run. Look, Sam is now all over him, and this could be the first real chance for the Cyberman to take the lead. He moves aggressively this time, inside into Stowe. Energetics forced to take the wider line. He's still not going to give it up though, holds it round the outside, but the Samuel Soares does get through into second place, and the net P1. That could be crucial. We are now well into the second half of this race, and Energetics looks like he might have overstepped the mark on the tyres or something, because he is now coming under a bit of threat from that Mercedes. He did have a bit of a mistake. He's just got to try and stop himself from being rattled, get yourself back, and hunt down the leader. But Samuel Soares, just so much. He's had such a mature drive so far. Just keeping his head, waiting for that opportunity. He's sat behind Energetics, not been overly aggressive, and then, just like Energetics was doing to Skivan, but it's really the first driver to make a mistake is the one that loses out. And that's Energetic's fate, and Sam was just waiting, pounced on it, and now he leads the race, and deservedly so. Behind the Yoss, getting a bit closer to Adri. These guys being chased down by Gameaholic. Gameaholic's pace has been really impressive in this race, and he could have seriously been fighting for that lead if he hadn't had that bad strategic call. I don't know what would have ended worse for him stacking behind his teammate or him staying out. But nevertheless, he did stay out, and he's having to try and fight his way through. And Yoss could be looking at Adri, but up at the front, Samuel Soares gonna look for a key move around the outside of Skivan. Late on the brakes as the Cyber. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he can. That is key, and Skivan immediately dives into the pits. So now we've got a straight fight for the lead of this race, and it is an exciting prospect. Behind him, Yoss moves up the inside of Adri. Adri's got nothing to answer and has to hang back. He does like this circuit, I know the Spaniard does. And he's looking at some good points there, fighting for a top 5. But he's now got to try and fight his way back past. He's now the hunter as opposed to the hunted. Is that going to benefit him now? To look at those top 3, Linus, Cern, and a decent enough exit from Energetics. Not exactly the greatest, but now he's got DRS. He's only in high ERS, and he actually turns it down. So I don't think he's going to be looking for a challenge. I think he's biding his time, waiting for the opportunity. Larkin, not really able to do much. I think he is good doing all he can. As Adri looks to the inside, doesn't go for it on the brakes. Yoss made sure, but he missed the apex himself a little bit, just so he got that car. Well, he was able to park that car ahead of Adri. Make sure that the McLaren couldn't do anything on the brakes. But Energetics, I'm sure he's hungry for this. He's got a championship to fight for. Samuel has got a championship to fight for. Larkin has got a championship to fight for, as has Jaco behind them. These guys all thinking about one thing, but they've got to keep their eyes focused. Again, a mistake from Energetics. It's not a strong section for him, and Gios picks up a penalty. That could be key. He's got to gap Adri now, but the DRS, Larkin, is just, it's really unfortunate for him. He can't really do much unless he makes a very opportunistic move. He does have a little look in Energetics. It does force the Ferrari a little bit offline, and he does make a mistake there. He's pressured him. That's classic Larkin, forcing your opponents into a mistake. Now he's got to try and capitalise. He's going to set all over the Ferrari. This is going to help Sam a lot if they start battling. Larkin inside into turn 3, and Energetics keeps it though. Late on the brakes is the Ferrari, and now Larkin, he's set himself up, tries to get a good exit. Energetics parks his car in the apex well, but he's got less of a slipstream now from Samuel. Is this the break that Larkin needed? Now, slipstream. Energetics knows it. He's getting a little bit defensive there, a little bit anxious at the wheel of that Ferrari, but holds his nerve. But Larkin, he's setting himself up for exits out of every corner, looking. He's such a methodical racer, looks for the opportunity and just sets himself up. He doesn't throw himself into an overtake, he likes to set them up. As behind them, Barton fighting away with Philip Smith. Philip Smith looked to the inside of Brooklands, wasn't able to get the job done. And behind them, this battle for P5 still rages on. Yoss got that penalty. I believe Gameaholics got a penalty as well. Andre, I'm not sure, but he may have an advantage in that fight. Now, Energetics, he got a better exit off of Chapel this time round. Has been a weak corner for him in this Grand Prix so far, but doesn't quite happen. There's a penalty for Philip Smith. Is that going to affect things? Behind them, Adri closing. Not close enough. And he's got to potentially throw one up the inside. Or does he? To be honest, he's not got penalties. He can just control it, but I'm sure he won't want to let that Sauber through. Look at Gameaholic, he's looked like the faster of these three cars. Gets tucked in underneath, but no way he's going to try one into turn one. It'd be a bit of a stupid move. And he's a more sensible driver than that, but look at him, he's all over the back, he's going to go for the move. Larkin tried on the last lap, later on the brakes as well. Gameaholic on the inside, is Adler going to hold it around the outside there, gets it through into turn 4, and Gameaholic luckily ghosts there, and that avoids a bit of contact. Energetics doesn't quite get it done. Clone Samuel, but behind Adri, still coming under pressure from Gameaholic, but that DRS is assisting him nicely. And he's able to fend off. Behind him though, Philip Smith dives out the inside. Beck is out of the Grand Prix. Beck has gone off, not sure where. But we have another retirement and we're down to 15 cars. But still, not exactly a given that these guys are going to get points. Of course, top 10 gets points. So, of course, it's still a lot to play for. It's Energetics once again getting a poor exit, but he's still right there and he's still within range, and Samuel must know it now. He's going to move defensive, he knows the threat. Outside Energetics, no, not quite close enough. As Samuel, a bit of lag there, and that's caught out Energetics, and straight through goes Larkin. Larkin able to take advantage, and that's going to be infuriating. Yoss moves through on Adri, gets a bit of oversteer. Adri able to fend off Gameaholic behind him though. Up at the front, these guys now. Larkin sensing a race win potentially now as he's got the leading DRS. Energetics really unlucky how he's lost out at that second place. No real fault of his own, but he's lost out regardless. J. Cole continues to just chip away at the advantage of those front three, but it doesn't quite happen. Seeing Skivan setting fastest lap after fastest lap, he's beginning to come up behind Fuzz as Larkin has a look. We know he can get punchy on the brakes. Is he going to use that to his advantage? The Sauber has driven such a race. I don't think I can really fault him with his drive, but even then it won't be enough. Potentially, Larkin gets right up behind, but there's no way through into Cops. At least there's no sensible way through into Cops. And Andrew now beginning to lose a little bit of contact. And Skivan now, first move, round the outside of Fuzz, gets a little bit deep into left field, but is able to hold his nerve. Larkin now doesn't get the best of exits coming off of Chapel, but he's got the DRS and he has looked pretty quick down the straight, so is he going to be able to get it done? He's closing down, has a look as Samuel gets a little bit onto the grass on the entry. It's Larkin now, he's going to sense this everything he can, late on the brakes as the Mercedes round the outside. Samuel tries to hold it on the inside, and then round the outside gets it done. So Samuel just about able to fend off the Mercedes, but Larkin now knows that he can challenge him. And look at this. Larkin must be smelling blood at this stage. Look at him looking for the move. Down the inside. Runs into the side of the Sauber. Bit of contact. But a really aggressive move from Larkin. Now, Sam has got his line compromised, but he does really well there to fend off the switchback. Park his car in the apex, and Larkin's going to have a bit of a tougher time trying to get past now, but he's in overtake mode. He's going to look for everything he has. Down into Brooklands, has a look on the brakes, has his nose alongside, taps the Sauber, and they go into it. Energetics on the inside of Larkin. So it looked like a bit of a racing incident. I think Sam could have left more room there, if I'm honest. And Larkin, I think, knows that himself. He's scampered off, but with Energetics. And J. Cole now is a real player in this. Sam is still within contention, but now we've got potentially a four-way fight for the lead of this race. Samuel, again, he's driven a flawless race up to that point, but maybe could have left just a bit more space. Larkin wasn't significantly alongside him either. I don't think either driver would be too happy with that. So that is open to interpretation, and I expect some stewards inquiries on that one. Energetics trying to chase down. Now he's back in contention for this. He looked a little bit beaten, and Larkin doesn't get the greatest run through snow. But Energetics biding his time once again. And now J. Cole, though, after being held up in the pits, what a fight back from him. He's now in this fight, as behind him Philip Smith and Barton battling away through snow. The pass holds it running outside nicely, continuing to make those hards work. He's looked like he was on for a really strong position and potentially even fighting for the race lead, but just made the wrong strategy call, and he's trying to fight for some points now with the Toro Rosso bearing down on him and getting closer than ever. But we've got to look at this battle up front. You can see Gameaholic looks for a switchback on a hatchery. These three drivers have just been going at it themselves, but Energetics outside of Larkin. Can he make this one stick? Larkin doesn't give him much respect, and he had every right to. He was the leading car. Down the inside goes Gameaholic again, ghosting. And you can see Adri's just able to... I'm not sure what's going on there. Sevi is out. That's another car out of the Grand Prix. But I don't... If Cody's fixed the coding system, I mean, every time Gameaholic gets anywhere near Adri, he seems to be ghosting. I'm not sure if that's some sort of bug. Now, Energetics, very close. Does he get a good exit going off of Chapel? It's a good exit. I think Larkin knows that he's under pressure. Energetics pushing. Larkin, though, as ever, not going to give it up easily. He's going to hold the inside line into Stowe. Energetics gets his nose ahead through the corner. Can he hold it all the way around the outside? Gets the move done. Super move. Full course yellows there as the yellows now begin to come off. But that was a superlative overtake from the Ferrari. He gets back into the lead of this race, and now he's just got to control it from the front. Jaco still looking for this. He senses a chance of victory after that mistake in the pits, and you can see Larkin gets a bit wide through turn one, maybe a bit frustrated after losing that lead, but there wasn't much you could do. It was just so late on the brakes from Energetics, and holds it round very well indeed. But Larkin, he's up into overtake mode. He's going to be hungry for revenge, and Energetics can move through and outside, and Energetics late enough on the brakes holds his nerve. I'm just seeing in the chat we've got Bree saying, oh, we can't quite look at that yet. Jaco goes for a very opportunistic lunge on Larkin that looked clean enough. Larkin was able to hold his nerve, but look at this. The Ferrari continuing to pressure, but Barton now side by side with Philip Smith. The Toro Rosso looking again through Luffield. Not quite close enough though. Not able to hold it and get good traction, but he pulls back alongside there. This is a dangerous corner to go side by side in. Toro Rosso up the inside, doesn't get it done, and well, the Haas does have to back off. Really brave move from Philip Smith, and he's able to get it done. Jaco can't quite get it done on his teammate. But going back to what Bray said, yeah, Gameaholic did say that he was disqualified, but I don't believe he is, because his car seems to be driving around, and I don't know, I'd be surprised if he was. A yellow's in sector 3, I see a car spinning, that is Barton. Barton must have been caught up in an instant with Philip Smith. They were having a great battle, he's rage quit, he's gone out, and he's lost any chance of points. So really unfortunate for him. At one point he looked like scoring a really strong result. We're on the penultimate lap of this race now. The laps have flown by, haven't they? That's because we've had such good battling, but Larkin isn't done with yet. Closes down. Energetics can't quite get it done though. No way round the outside of Brooklands. Is Jaco going to do his teammate a favour? I'm sure he still wants this race win, but the odds are against him at this stage. But I don't expect him to give up anytime soon, nor do any of these three drivers. Also experienced, also quick, and also hungry to take this win. Danger Artist picks up yet another penalty. I don't know how the penalties will apply. I don't believe any of these three guys have ones. Just quickly, while it's a little bit of a downtime, Energetics, 2 warnings. Larkin, 2 warnings. Jaco, 2 warnings. These guys can't afford to get any more. And now, Jaco doing his teammate a favour because he's pressuring Larkin, his former teammate, to the inside. And to Stowe makes it done a little bit. Larkin gets forced off the track. Jaco holds the position, and that's a really aggressive move from him. But he had to do it. It's given Energetics an advantage. But Jaco needed to do that if he wants any hope of winning this. Energetics, I saw that yellow fuel light flashing, so He's got things to manage. Can Jaco steal a last gasp win? I'm going to keep looking to this battle for the lead. I don't want to miss a second of it. Jaco continues to pressure his teammate. Is he going to go for a late lunge? He needs a nice exit. Gameaholic picked up a penalty, but Jaco, he gets a half decent exit, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to threaten. He's got a lot of ERS to play with. Just go for it at this point, Jaco. But no way through. He's going to have to go unconventional now, maybe into Stowe. That could be his last chance. I don't think he can do much going into Cops and Maggots and Beckett's and whatnot. He still wants this though. He's made a remarkable fight back from that setback through the pit stops after being held up by his teammate. Look at his pace. It's remarkable. He chases down. Energetics picks up a penalty. I said none of these guys can afford to cut the corner anymore. Jaco now in the driving seat for this race win. So, now, he might not know this though. He's just got to get it through this final few corners. Larkin isn't close enough. There's no way he's threatening. Jaco just has to keep this one clean. He may have to threaten his teammate though. Is he going to go for it into Stowe? He backs off. That could be sensible. Energetics is going to win this one on the track, but he may have thrown it away by not being able to stay on the track. Now the final complex, Jaco, no overtake could be possible. He just has to avoid spinning. He's very cautious on the throttle, and with good reason. Energetics crosses the line, but Jaco takes the race win. That is absolutely vital for the championship. The championship leader takes the win. And you can see Adri's moved up into 5th. Great finish for him on the penalties. Skivan sits fastest lap. He finishes 8th. A decent fight back. But it's the championship rival, Jaco, who somehow, from about 6th or 7th net position, he's managed to fight his way all the way through and win the race on the last lap. Wow. Energetics. I do feel for him. He did make a few mistakes, but he was still leading that race on track. And just losing a race in the last lap, I know that feeling. It is heart-wrenching. But it is what it is. Jaco stands top of the podium after an absolutely fantastic drive from him. Had to fight for it. Had to fight for it right down to the line, but he managed to get it through. And yeah, the Ferrari driver, not dominant by any means, but he seems to, this season, he just seems to find a way to eke out great results. And that's more evidence of that today. Even when it was against the wall, he managed to get it done. And he wins from Larkin, who could have felt he lost out to Jaco with just a couple of laps to go, remember. He'll be feeling like he could have won that Samuel Sword, unfortunately getting tangled up with Larkin, costing him a chance at the race win. He will be gutted himself, but he still gets a podium, which is a great result for him. Really well done. Ahead of Energetics, who lost that race win in the last lap. Gutting, but still a great drive from him. Adri, strong result from him. Taking advantage of penalties of people around him. Gets 5th, ahead of Yoss and Gameaholic. Those three had a great fight. Philip Smith gets a solid 8th place out of Skeven and then Jartitz. Those will round out your top 10 and your point scores after a thriller here in Britain. Great fights all the way through the field. I hope I've done it justice, because that really was a fantastic race. So I guess I'm just going to try and wrap this one up. A fantastic win for Jaco. Great drive from Larkin, great drive from Samuel, great drive from Energetics. Those four seriously put on the show. There was quite a few other drivers, such as Gameaholic, Barton, who could have been up there as well. But despite their absence, we were still treated to a thrilling fight for the lead. And great battling up and down the field. It really was a fantastic race. A couple of not really too much controversy either in terms of the incidents. It looked like a fairly clean race. There was obviously that little tap from Larkin and Sam. But yeah, really fun race to commentate on. I guess I'll see you guys next time because my voice is gone. Bye.